day all. Ira Epstein of Linn and Associates with your metals market update, and this is for Tuesday, the 2nd of April, 2019. Now, before I go any further, I want to remind you that I'm having my live webinar this coming Thursday at 12:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. We're filling up already. In order to get into it, and it is free, if you didn't get your invite, I sent them out today in the morning. Probably look in your box if you didn't get it there in your clutter or your junk, and if you don't see it, call my staff to get your invite. Can't make it any simpler than that. I sent out an invite on Monday and Tuesday, so we're probably pretty close to being through sending out the invites. And as I said, I just look for a nice attendance, and we've already got that kind of people set up. All right. Today was one of the days that if you go to my financial video from yesterday, I was saying a big rally on Monday, often, not always, often, you get what's called a reversal back the next day. And I think I mentioned the Trader's Almanac by Yale Hirsch. You got to read some of these old-time things because they're before all these computers came around with cycles and all, but you start learning. It's like Jesse Livermore's book. I can tell you all the things you read and you start learning, and those are the old ones. I, of course, read the new ones too. But in any case, as I'm looking at the market and the gold acts like a market that doesn't want to keep breaking right here. I'm not saying it's turned bullish. It's showing some life. It's gaining against silver again. It's gaining against copper. The platinum and palladium were pretty stable. The Bitcoin exploded to the upside. It gave back the best gains of the day, but it's certainly a breakout to the upside. Now, why I think gold is stalled a bit is because it has sunk back all the way down. And if we look at where this number is, 1291.80, that is the what? 18-week moving average of closes. So the first challenge of that number, and we've been down this week now to 1284.50, and here we are back up on the weekly chart right into that 1291 area, let's call it. We're right into that support level. When I look at a daily chart, you still have this leg to the downside, and today was the lowest low of the leg. When I put on the swing line, I've got a higher high, lower low, nothing to get overexcited about here. But what I saw was the 100-week average. I'm sorry, the 100-day average. Remember, this is a daily chart. And right now, if you take a look, yesterday's low in the market was 1291. That number was 1290.60. It's close, but it didn't quite hit it. Today, when it hit it, it spent no time under it. And when I saw that, I said, maybe the market's finding its legs. So that's the term I'm going to use. If it wants to rally, one of the resistance points could be the 18-day moving average at 1308.10. The other thing I look at are where are the Bollinger Bands. Now, there's more things that I do than this. For those of you that watch my morning subscriber video, I throw out day trade ideas on all the markets. If I think they're there, you're going to find me very quickly say, nah, there's nothing on this chart setup. Let's go to the next chart. And I'll explain why I see nothing. But we don't have to spend a lot of time on something you're not going to be looking at, or at least I don't see a trade opportunity. And by the way, because you see a trade opportunity doesn't mean you're going to be right on that trade. It's just an opportunity. So as I'm looking at the market, a higher high, lower low into support. But let's look where the Bollinger Band came in. Hey, little guy. That number comes in at 1288.80. You got down to 1289.50. I think that combination, and it could be tested again, is a potential support zone. When I look at momentum, I see an oversold market. Momentum has not turned up, so it's not leading price to the upside. You have a market that's oversold, fell into a support zone, and that's about all that I could say about it. In GLD, the popular ETF, oversold, trend down, lower highs, lower lows, excuse me, could not quite get to the Bollinger Band or that 100-day average. There's more room if this market wants to keep coming down. But I'll ask you a question. Do you like buying or selling overbought markets or oversold markets? I don't mind embedded markets when they change their character and lock in. Then they're no longer overbought. I don't like when they get to an extreme here or here. It's because you're getting mass psychology ahead of itself and price momentum is waning. When I come to GDX, the gold ETF, oversold, hasn't fallen into the support area. It doesn't have to, but that's still the support area. Trend is lower highs, lower lows, momentum oversold. So all I saw was in the gold futures that it was an interesting number. The gold-silver ratio, now I've moved, remember, to June versus May silver, still favoring the gold. In fact, if you look at the overall pattern, it is still one of higher lows and higher highs. This is only a closed chart, but that works there too. So silver is not yet said to itself, it's even out of that trend. Gold's still stronger, and you see that on this chart. The silver market finishing at 1508. Got down again to the lower Bollinger Band, 1499.70 today. Bounced 9 cents away from it. The pattern is down, but it's hit its downside target. Now, if the market were to take out yesterday's high, what could happen is you might put yourself in the play for this resistance of 1530 to 1527.80. However, today's low is 1490.5. There is nothing on this chart pattern that can turn me bullish. You can end the downtrend by taking out 1519, but you can't start an uptrend the way that I chart. In the copper market, yesterday was a failure day at the upper Bollinger Band. And what number do I often say if the market goes to a lower band or an upper band, the market likes to go back to regroup? The 18-day average of closes, the red line. You tell me what market reached down to today, what it's trying to do. The market's not giving us any idea what it wants to do other than be friendly. You're going to say, what's he talking about? Well, I see higher lows, higher highs, a market back into support. Now, admittedly, it's a big risk. Let's assume that you bought the 18-day average at 289.85. If you put a stop under the most recent low, it's 284.35. Well, that's an awful big risk to take in copper. It's about $1,000, so you got to decide if you'd want that. I see momentum having gone flat, the bias up, and it seems that the U.S. and China are doing better on trade talks, but copper was still down. And being down means the market's not lifting itself up. It went to a resistance point and failed. In the platinum market, it's an interesting chart, and it's not begging of a trade, as I see it at least. I've got flat momentum. I have the bias up, but I have lower highs and a lower low. That's bearish. Let's flip the chart for a minute. What if the market holds this area and gets over 862.30? I could end up with higher lows, higher highs. That'd be bullish, putting back into play 876.80. If the market breaks from here and closes underneath 848.80, well, that could be the nail in the coffin, because not only would I have the lower high, lower low pattern, but I turn the bias down because I'd be closing under that number, and maybe momentum would, instead of staying flat, turn down a bit. In the palladium market, we're getting a bounce away from an oversold condition. Is this a bubble top that finally broke, is what you got to ask yourself. I read reports on it today that people saying, well, if the U.S. and China make a deal, it might bring life back into the market, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm always up to listen. But on the chart, throw the name off of it. You have a market that's correcting. The resistance is back at 1479 for all purposes. The trend is down, the bias is down, and the market is still oversold. Any reading under 30, even by 0.4, is still oversold. In the dollar index, I see a market that is now at least cleaned up this mess right here. How many days did you hear me tell you this was a problem for me? At least now I've got the higher lows, higher highs. So I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm sure you heard me say that over and over. I'm now telling you I'm very nervous up here because you're up at a Bollinger Band top, and each time we've gotten there, this market has failed at that number. I'd be cautious. Let me not cover the one that was right here. So I think the pros are looking at this, and I will not be surprised if the market sees some money from this point, if it tries to reach up, coming off the table. overbought in an uptrend, coming up to a point that's been prior resistance. I watched today as it got to 97.09 and a half, and I realized the contract high is 97.16 and a half, and it backed off from there about 20 points pretty fast. So interesting play, what can you say? Remember what we're talking about. Join us this coming Thursday. Bring your questions, bring symbols that you want done, technical ideas. Let's discuss them. By the way, the webinar typically starts right on the button at 12:30, ends 1:15 or earlier. You have a good day. I'm Ira Epstein. See you tomorrow.